Okay. Hello, everyone. Good to see friendly faces here in the Zoom room. It's so strange to try to look in each other's eyes and be roaming around on this screen, but I do appreciate Zoom and our ability to connect in this way while we're all in different places, and also including awareness of folks that are practicing with us after on the YouTube channel. Thank you for being here. Hmm. I can't even remember. There's been so many kind of, I think of them as memorial Dharma talks lately of some of our wise elders in various traditions that have died in this past year. And tonight is another one in honor of and commemoration and respect and um, yeah, all those things for Dr. Jane Goodall, who died on October 1st, 2025. And I would have um, yeah, offered something last week, but um, and she died at age 91 while she was still on tour. Wow, that's extraordinary. While on a speaking tour across the states, and apparently she traveled like and taught and worked. The average is like 300 days a year. Like she was hardly home. It's such a dedication, such a incredible activist. I imagine most of you know Dr. Jane Goodall, but some may not. So I'll just give a little context about her work, and please check the links below. And I forgot to put the link here in the chat. I had a feeling I was forgetting something. That's what it was. Um, but I'll put the links on here for Zoom folks as well. And so when when she was, I think, 26 years old, she moved to Gombe National Park in Tanzania, Africa. She was in Africa working at a museum, I believe, for Dr. Leakey. Um, but she had no science degree. Yeah, little formal scientific training. She didn't have a university degree, and but she did apparently have this amazing passion for and respect for animal life, which I consider us also animals, but for the animal kingdom. And uh, and she had incredible patience and vision, sense of purpose, passion really. Um, so she went to visit a friend in Africa from England, I believe, and then got this job in a museum with Dr. Leakey, and then he basically hired her for this research vision in Gombe National Park, and to yeah, so she moved there. She had to have her mom move there with her into this absolute wilderness, because they wouldn't allow her to be unaccompanied at that time. I think the government is what I caught in some of my research here. But so she lived there. Some accounts say 15 to 20 years, like lived pretty full time there. Um, Researching chimpanzee behavior in their natural habitat. So this she's then called an ethnologist, is someone who studies animal behavior in their natural habitat. Um, and she also then said she soon became more of an activist than a scientist. She really defined herself as an activist, environmental activist, when she saw the destruction of the rainforest and of the habitats and um, yeah, our planet. She's also an incredible author. I think 34 books is the list I saw, 34 books. Lots of great children's books and a lot of books about hope, like many of her main titles that really had a lot of good reception. There were several of them that had hope in the title, which is wonderful. Um, Dr. Leakey, who hired her for this position, really thought it was an advantage that she didn't have a science degree, because she was less biased and had an open mind to really just go in and observe without a lot of preconceptions. Because the preconceptions at that time, she broke a lot of them because like she would name the chimpanzees like instead of just number them, which was the tradition, and she was really put down for that when she did go to university after the fact. And things like, yeah, she described them as having emotions and this whole life cycle of chimpanzees of and they're very complex and deep familial relationships that she witnessed and grief and all these things that was scandalous to apply to animals. And some of her other visionary things were, well, she was the one reportedly that first witnessed, and I forget his name, this particular, the first chimpanzee that she started to have a relationship with, like he would let her observe him and vice versa. And it was him that she saw not only use a tool, but create a tool to then use, right? So he stripped the leaves off a branch to poke it into a termite hole to be pull the termites out to eat. And so there was like several layers of thought there. And that was like unheard of because the scientists at the time were like, only humans think. uh, so a remarkable person. And but as I'm find with many of these wisdom teachers from a boundless array of life conditions, they always have some dharma in there. Like there's always some dharma. And she definitely had a lot of dharma of teaching about interconnectedness, of course. And she really, especially in her activism work, she really understood how one little person can have a really important impact because of our interconnectedness. And she talked about, I think it's from her Roots and Shoots program, but where you, yeah, it was. She devised this whole program that started with a conversation with 12 students at the time who, you know, it's then since become this huge program, Roots and Shoots, in over 140 countries. Um, where they learn environmental activism and these teachings of interconnectedness. And they were encouraged, and we are all encouraged to choose one action, one project. And she said one for people, one for animals, and one for the environment. And it can be a small thing, but just do one thing. And she said, when we join together, those bits become a movement. And I sometimes I can feel quite disheartened with the state of the world, but then I can also, depending, I have to make the choice that she talked about all the time, the choice of hope and the actions of hope. And I do see a lot of these movements happening. There's a movement happening of resistance and change. Um, she was also criticized by environmentalists and activists because she would engage with and speak with corporations and with like people that some would see as the bad guys or the environmental enemies. And she said, people have to change from within. And if we don't speak to those who we think are very different from us or opposing views, then nothing will change. So she really made an effort to communicate and find middle ground and to mm, touch people not with statistics, but with the stories of hope. And so she would really motivate these big corporations to make some big changes and lots of financial contributions because she would share the stories of hope of the regeneration, reforestation of massive areas that had been stripped bare and the rejuvenation of the chimpanzee population from um, great peril, things like this. So she would, and the hope of that she saw with so many students that she worked with and the amazing things that they did. Um, she really was clear about hope. You can imagine, I think, how easy it could have been. I'm sure she saw terrible things happening to these chimpanzees that she loved and to the communities, the people that lived in these areas, and um, the lack of education for the girls, all these things that she was really active in. Um, it could have been easy for her to feel hopeless, but she really talked about hope a lot and how it's different than denial and it's different than just false optimism. It's she saw hope as a discipline. I like that. Hope is a discipline. That's really good. And a responsibility to each other and to the world to actually keep active hope alive. That it's not wishful thinking, but our moral duty. And this resolve to act despite despair. So she acknowledged there is despair, but despite despair, I'm going to do what I can do. And that's all any of us can do. And how despair, she said, has a seductive quality that it can be. Yeah, I can't really interpret her words there, what she means by it being seductive, but it certainly does have a strong pull, despair. Um, Maybe it has a momentum to it or something. And yeah, another thing she taught that really rings a bell for me in the Dharma, she said, quote, only when the head and heart work in harmony can we achieve our true human potential. And in the Dharma, this is called Chitta, Citta. That's in Pali. And Chitta means heart mind or the aware heart, the awake heart. And because we can often feel like there's some separation between our head and our heart, our thinking mind, which is actually called manos, Manos. But that there is that we can get easily stuck in a thinking place, thinking mind, and worrying and planning and remembering and ruminating and all these activities, and feel that that's some separation between thinking and feeling. Uh, and the chitta, the awake heart, the heart of awareness, the heartful knowing is considered to reside in the area of the heart center, the center of the chest, rather than like we think it's all our brain activity, as if that's some separate entity. And as she says, only when head and heart work in harmony can we achieve our true human potential. Hmm. It's just reminding me of something else. Yeah. One of the things from this Roots and Shoots program where she taught so many students and created this huge program, which is still you can read about on her website. Roots and Shoots is still ongoing. There's a whole Jane Goodall Institute that keeps her work going. Um, and I think one of their mottos, or one of the things she often said with these students, is together we will change the world. Together we can change the world, and together we must change the world. So beautiful, that just this intention, we will change the world, and then we can change the world, that it's actually possible, that there's that aspect of hope and energizing. And then this real call to action, together we must change the world. It's really energizing and heartening. And I just am so amazed at how she traveled and worked at age 91, like died peacefully of natural causes while she was out there doing yet another tour until her very last breaths. Um, she certainly lived her Dharma, like it wasn't just talk, she was living it. Um, and touching so many lives profoundly. Hmm. I've been practicing lately with what's called neutral people, and in the Brahma Viharas, it's like paying attention to people you don't usually pay attention to, right? All the people you're driving by and people you see in a store that you don't really look at, or anywhere. And just mm, seeing people, you are seeing, like really looking at people and letting my awareness know them in that moment. And the same thing happened when I was looking at these images of these chimpanzees, and how she had that patience and that presence to really see them, to really watch, to really meet them and be open to meeting them. And when you look into the eyes of some of these chimpanzees, I mean, you can just Google it now, but to be there in person, like as she was living amongst them, and to see them in this way is so profound. And I kind of had a sense of that when I was looking at aspects of her life and looking at the images of the chimpanzees and really seeing them in a way where normally they would have just been neutral, like just an awareness of that beautiful animal without really seeing that being. It was interesting. Hmm. So yeah, I mean, that's just like such a glimpse of such a not even a glimpse of her work and her life and her contribution, her courage, very extraordinary and inspiring and hopeful. So those are just some thoughts on sharing some inspirations of another wise elder, one of our wise elders who's passed, and gratitude to her. So let's practice these things that she's inspired in us: patience and hope and interconnectedness and love, really, metta. Okay, so let's practice. Mm, sweater. Mm. We're just settling into these bodies, these beautiful animal bodies that are not as different from all the animals as we might like to think. Feeling our aliveness in this moment as we settle into our relationship with this earth, with gravity, making any adjustments to your posture so that you can really settle into presence. As the eyes come to rest, either downward or closed, feeling into any tension in the face that isn't needed and letting some softness come to your expression or restfulness. And then letting awareness sweep down the body in your own time, settling the bones, lengthening the muscles, allowing some space around any tension. Really feeling awareness inhabit the body, come to rest in the body. And then as you're continuing to settle, drawing in this awareness that was so central to Dr. Jane Goodall's work was her ethics, morality, her values, as it is for us and central and foundational of the Buddha's teachings. Every day we undertake these deep interbeing contracts to refrain from taking life and causing harm, to refrain from taking more resources than are freely offered to us, taking more than we need. To refrain from speaking falsely and harshly, harmfully. To refrain from causing harm with our sensuality and our sexuality, all of our sense doors and their tendency towards greed or hatred or delusion. And lastly, this interbeing training to refrain from heedlessness or a lack of mindfulness caused from intoxicants of all the sorts of intoxicants and addictions and numbing. And feel these values as sila are interbeing contracts like threads of a vast web. And the words might be different for different people and different traditions, but this sense of not being alone in our shared values of care and connection. Right here within your home or your neighborhood, your town or city, your country, across borders, all around the world, people are committing to ethics. Feel how this inspires hope and energy within your heart, mind. And then we might reflect on perhaps some actions, ways of speaking or being that you may already be doing in light of this interconnectedness with people, with animals, with the environment. Or if you feel there's capacity for you to stretch or open into one of these areas, you could just feel into that right now, what's possible. It might be something small like cleaning up the garbage from the curb in your neighborhood, or it might be some financial contribution or other larger action, project. Reaching out to a neighbor or a loved one that needs support, or someone who's unknown to you. There's some time with this reflection on acknowledging what you are doing, what's possible, perhaps feeling some sense of energy or commitment or hope about an intention for something. And just feel how that lands for you in the heart, chitta. Only when the head and heart work in harmony can we achieve our true human potential. See how that feels as a embodied sensation in the heart mind. Then we'll invite in some reflection on this beautiful quality that's called patience in Pali. It's Khanti, Khanti. And this is one of the paramis, the 10 perfections that the Buddha perfected and shared and taught about, the paramis. And this was really what, aside from without any university degree and little formal scientific training, Dr. Goodall had this immense quality of patience to sit for days and days and weeks and years without without seeing any chimpanzees for a long period of time, and then sitting in the midst of the jungle through all the kinds of weather and conditions and having malaria, all kinds of things that happened with this immense patience and love. And see if patience is a quality that you would like to call in a little bit more of in your life. Maybe you feel like you've perfected patience, or is there a bit more capacity here, a bit more potential to cultivate some patience, perhaps with yourself and with others and with all beings. May I be patient with myself as I grow and learn in these ways. May I be patient with others as they grow and learn in the ways that's possible for them at this time. If you could feel patience as a sensation or a place or a quality in your body, where would it be? Where does patience feel like it abides for you, where it resides? Not to overthink it, but just trust your instinct, your awareness, your sensations. And then really let your strong intention to cultivate more patience, this parami, feel embodied in that part of the body, kind of activated. And perhaps there's someone in particular that you feel you want to cultivate some patience with. You could invite them into awareness. Maybe it's a group of people. And then feeling called by her, really her invitation and sense of responsibility, this discipline that together we can change the world. Together we will change the world and we must change the world. Really feeling the felt experience of our interconnectedness. There's nothing about your experience in this moment that isn't boundlessly interconnected with all beings. Nothing in your space, in your body, the food you've consumed, the air, the earth itself, the clothes, boundlessly interconnected. And our thoughts, speech, and actions are of supreme importance. Hope inspires our resolve to act despite despair. Despair is here, grief is here, fear is here, and we resolve. We have this responsibility and discipline to engage with hope that is not passive. So maybe that comes to you just as a felt experience somewhere in your body, in the heart mind, or maybe there's some words of intention that land for you. Aware of our interconnectedness, I aspire to live each moment with care. One of the things that I read as a and recite for myself at the end of each day. This day is now ended. My life is shorter. Let me look carefully. What have I done? With all my heart, let me be diligent, engaging in the practice. Let me live deeply, free from my afflictions, aware of impermanence, so that life does not drift away without meaning. So each day we can have this kind reflection, not in any harsh, judging way, but in a engaging, hopeful way. Oh, what happened today? Did I see anyone, really care for anyone, including myself? Did I take some action? Did I rest well? Did I practice? Did I give? And then we wake up the next day. Waking this morning, I smile. A brand new day is before me. I aspire to live each moment mindfully and to look upon all beings with the eyes of kindness and compassion. May I and all beings be happy and free from suffering. Thank you to Dr. Goodall and to, I can't even imagine how many hundreds or thousands of young people that have been impacted and inspired by her work in the Roots and Shoots program and the Takari program and other programs that um, they've been able to engage with and are doing incredible work and give us um, so much hope. And as someone shared here in the Zoom chat, thank you, Kathy. On Netflix, there's a recent documentary, Famous Last Words, where it's a whole series of interviews with people offering their last words. And I think the premise is that they don't publish them until the person has passed. That was something I read about. And so there's a Jane Goodall interview that is quite amazing and recommended. So, um, and then also check out the link to her website and the ongoing work. And there's ways to donate and make a difference that and to read about that the impact of the Institute and the ongoing work. So good things to keep us inspired and moving forward with love and care and awareness of interconnectedness. Thank you all for practicing with us and hope to see you again.